brought to you almost live from the Dude in the Basement Studios. Why? Because that's where the good stuff is. It's Sips, Suds, and Smokes with your smoking host, the good old boys. Now it's sippin' time.
Welcome to this episode of Sips, Suds, and Smokes. This is a Sip segment. I am one of your hosts today, good old boy Mike, and joining me for this segment is good old gal Lisa.
Cheers.
We're talking about the very best wines we've had for 2013, and I really just can't wait to talk about so many great wines that I've had here in 2013. Just a lot of great events, a lot of good industry tastings, a lot of great wine festivals that I've been to. It's just so many really, really great products that we've had a chance to talk about some of those here on the show. Not nearly enough time to chat about these. I'm sure you've had a great time in 2013 as well, haven't you?
I've been on a ride of my life in 2013. I lived in Austin, Texas for half the time, and now I'm back in Nashville, and just had some of the best experiences that life could offer.
Yeah. Well, lots of great wine, definitely, to share here in the Mid-South as well. And we have some great wines to chat about today as well. One is we're going to first talk a little bit about some of the vintages and some of the wines that may have just captured our attention before announcing our favorite wine of the year here for Sips, Suds, and Smokes. You know, I think one of the things that a lot of people ask me, they go, well, Mike, how do you really go and find really great wine? And I think one of the things that I find, telling people to do is read the harvest reports. A lot of people want to go to other publications or a lot of things that people are telling them are kind of good, and it's almost an after the fact. It's like saying Apple was a really good investment 10 years ago. Or, buying, a stock was really great, well after the fact. Or, I think you should have, bought that house after it's appreciated 40% or something strange like that. The same thing is true with wine, is that if you understand what is going on with the harvest, and you'll have a really good chance of really scooping up on a really great, vintage as well. And so, part of the thing that I do as a ritual every year is reading a lot of the harvest reports that come out. And, sometimes it's just dead on. You can read the harvest report and you can see what's coming out, and it aligns directly with a good harvest equals good grapes or good wine. But that's not always the case. Winemakers do some amazing things even with some less than stellar wines. And I know you've probably had some vintages that you went, wow, the vintages are not lining up with what I thought. Oh my God, this wine is really good.
Absolutely.
Well, there have been some really great vintages that we've all experienced, and I think one of the other things that I watch along the way are elements of barrel tasting notes that come out that align directly with, the harvest as well. So one thing is to watch, where good weather's, really coming down, but the other is to look at barrel tasting notes, that are coming out roughly about a year after the harvest, and things have been basically put into barrels, and there's some early tasting notes that are coming out of barrel tastings. And so for those of us that are purchasing things that are aligned with futures, and you're actually just buying the right to buy the wine, as opposed to actually buying the wine, those are the things that you're watching many times, as you're watching the weather. You're watching the barrel tasting notes to get in line for just the ability to buy the wine, not actually purchase the wine itself. So there are some really great vintages that I wanted to chat about here as well. Easily at the top of my list is the 2010 vintage from the Bordeaux region. I mean, just wow. I mean, how amazing, wines have been, for Bordeaux in 2010, and I really think back at what has been some really great, vintages and many things that I'm just now even beginning to enjoy myself. I'm kind of close to the end of polishing off, some things from 92, 95 that, are just now really coming into, full maturity. The 2000, vintage itself was just, really an amazing vintage. And I think a lot of when people think of vintages, within the Bordeaux region that really trace back, the 82, vintage itself is something that a lot of people have a lot of bellwether comparisons coming back to 82 and 2000 have just been a lot of point of comparison. And it's the ability of having sustainable ability of grapes across many areas and region within Bordeaux itself. I don't think that 2010 was very good, and I think that you can probably walk into any store right now and look at a 2010 Bordeaux that they may have. It may be a first growth, if you can afford it, a second growth, which is definitely within a lot of people's purchasing power, or even a lot of third growths that are widely available as well, that I think that you can walk up and really enjoy. Did you have a chance to have any 2010 Bordeaux this year?
I believe I did when we were doing the advanced certification for WSET in Texas. We sampled no less than 30 wines a day, and we went through the whole Bordeaux region.
Yeah.
So I believe we had some. Bordeaux to me is just unlike anything else. It's very unique. That is what you get when you really want to have an amazing wine experience. And again, I like to do the pairings. I don't drink a lot of Bordeaux, but when I do, I want to make sure that I have the one that I know that's the best.
Yeah. Well, there have been some really great first growths that I've had the pleasure of enjoying. Even as they have just been coming out. But there have even been a lot of third growths, that I've enjoyed. So one of the ones that really caught my attention was Chateau Girard, and this is it's probably a third growth that's available, widely available, and the price point of this is something that a lot of people can find, across many different distribution channels. And I think that's one of the things that I would probably say about the 2010 Bordeaux in general. I think that if somebody just had the simple capability of buying even contract grapes and shoving them in a bottle with a label, would have been able to sell this vintage. It was just basically, it was just a no-brainer. I mean, I just think that the grapes were that good that most people could make really great, wine out of this. So,
and did you have some to share?
Not today. I don't have some of the Chateau Girard, but I have had the Chateau Girard. The first growth that I had was Latour, and I just, I can't say enough good things about that. I mean, it was phenomenal. The Chateau Margaux that I had was also very good. Lafite Rothschild from 2010 I thought was definitely singing a good song, but I just don't, the first growths are just not usually within, a tremendous, a lot of people just can't even find the bottle, let alone afford it, even if they could find it. So, but again, I think there are a lot of really great second and third growths. I think the real surprise out of this particular vintage was that the go-to region was actually grapes. It was not the Pouilly region or Saint-Emilion. I really thought that actually going outside the traditional Pouilly region would really be something that you would be looking for, and so you're going to find probably again a better price point looking for Bordeaux's that are in that region as well. So definitely something I wanted to start off by talking about. But strangely enough, my wine of the year is not from Bordeaux.
I know. And I've tasted it, and it's amazing.
I know, and everybody's hanging on every word, wondering, when are you going to get to the punchline here, Mike? Well, the other really great regions that have experienced some great vintages this year that we chatted about, continue to have just really great quality grapes coming out of Argentina and Chile. It's just an explosive area, and just when I think that they're just simply going to run out of gusto, they just keep on producing really great wines, in Argentina and Chile. And
I agree.
It's just amazing wines, and even the young wines that I'm having, out of that area are just still continue to be amazing. The Malbecs, definitely from probably almost 2007 spanning to 2010, over a 3-year period of time, have just been just mind-blowing. And, I think they have definitely, put a foothold in establishing, producing just some really great wines, with Malbecs that have been produced very consistently across many different vineyards. So I think it's just really great, that those wines are doing really well. What's your go-to grape when you think about Argentina and Chile?
Well, of course, you're going to think of Malbec when you talk about Argentina, and I've had several Malbecs that I've enjoyed. That actually, the first time I ever had that, a Malbec, was when I was in Austin at a little wine shop by my house, and I don't remember which one I had, but I've
really great grapes, though.
Absolutely great grape, and of course, every bottle that you taste. Crios comes to mind.
Okay.
Female winemaker. Yes.
That's a different twist, for sure.
I really enjoyed that. I believe that might have been the first Malbec that I've had, and I enjoyed that.
Well, I look forward to many years of enjoying all of that wine, coming out of that region. So the last region that we're going to talk about in terms of just general grapes, actually, I will give it away, contains our wine pick of the year as well, and that is Spain, and specifically the Rioja region. And for those of you that may not be familiar with the wines of Rioja, typically Tempranillo is the dominant grape within the Rioja region. Sometimes they are blended with other blending grapes in the area as well. Sometimes you'll find them blended with a Grenache, or there are a couple of few vendors that would blend Cab and Tempranillo. But, it is definitely, those vineyards that are going with straight up 100% Tempranillo that really capture the heart, and essence of the region itself. The distinction of various wines in the area. Crianzas are a distinction of usually wines that are only aged for about a year, and then they are made available to the public. Riojas are typically aged somewhere between probably 3 to 5 years. The Reservas themselves are not only a distinction of aging characteristic, but sometimes the Reservas are just a distinction that are made because of the quality of the grapes themselves. So they may be aged at least 4 years, and but they may be aged for longer than that as well. So hopefully I got that right. Did I get that right?
That's
there, Lisa.
Right. Yes, I think
pretty close. Did I get close to my exam? Characteristics there.
You passed.
Thanks. Remember about half of what really counts. So. Just phenomenal wine that has come out of the Rioja region. And I know that you've had a lot of wine out of the Rioja region, and I know there's a particular white that you love, talking about as well, that may be your top pick.
Yeah, again, wines I don't separate that a lot from emotion and fun and time and food. And one of the whites that stand out for me was a grape called Godella. And I had that for the first time in Austin, Texas at a place called Twin Liquors. A friend of mine worked there, and I was looking for particular Spanish wines to pair with paella that I was cooking, and she introduced me to this Godella, and I just love it. It's unique, it's unusual. There may be a market somewhere in this United States that I don't know about that just Godella is like any other grape on the shelf, but I didn't find that to be. I haven't found that a lot. And it's what makes it stand out differently from other white wines is that it's a big white wine. It's got a lot of nice, intense. Think of it's a dry white, but it's nice and fruity. Think of dried pineapple. Think of I think they mentioned creme brulee, the creamy vanilla. Yet it's dry, balanced, sweet. Dry, sweet, but it's balanced with a lot of nice acidity, which really makes it well for pairing with seafood dishes. Great for summertime, summer heat, whether you're in Texas or Tennessee. But I enjoyed that, and I still do.
Well, this is a grape that I'm not familiar with, and, definitely even those tasting characteristics, I mean, a couple of things that even approach that, tasting characteristic for mine is, there are some German Rieslings, that have some of the same characteristics, but I would never use the word pineapple, with a lot of the German Rieslings. And I think that there are probably some New Zealand Sauvignon Blancs that I think would bring forward, some of the fruit and drying aspects, but not anything to the point where I would even describe them, in those same characteristics. So this is a wine that I did not get to try this year, or frankly, even a grape that I've enjoyed, in the past, at least that I recall. So I look forward to the opportunity of trying that sometime. So maybe we'll fly down to Austin just to try that.
Just give me a reason to go anytime. No, it's fantastic.
Well, I know you've had a lot of great wine from the Rioja region in general, and this is something, this is a wine that you enjoy daily. This is right in your wheelhouse, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So when you think about Riojas in general, what are some of the tasting characteristics? I mean, if just somebody had to ask you straight up, what's a really great Rioja taste like? I mean, what are you looking for?
Well, when I'm buying wines or recommending wines to somebody, I really want an approachable wine, wine that has a lot of flavor, a lot of complexity to it, a lot of character, and that's what I think about a Rioja. You just have so many different wonderful characteristics going on, layers of flavors, fruit, which really makes it just a nice drinking wine. Tempranillo it's also soft and a pliable wine with good balance to it. Really pairs really well. Again, as you know, I cook paella for myself, friends, and anybody who wants me to cook paella for them. And there's so many flavors going on in a paella, and in Spanish food, I do a lot of tapas also. And a Rioja is one of the perfect food pairing wines there is. A lot of red fruits, strawberry, raspberry, a lot of dark fruits from the Tempranillo, a lot of good tannins from the Tempranillo, blackberry. There's spices in there. It just goes really well with anything. It goes great with a summer day. We're about to have some major winter weather going on here. I say crack open a Rioja and sit by the fireplace and enjoy. I think it's one of the most, what would you say, just friendly wines. Just anybody could enjoy one.
Well, and I'll actually go and answer, part of my own question here as well is that, and you were getting there, which was, approachable red.
Yes.
So many other red reference grapes are imposing at times. When I think of the way that Cabernet Sauvignon, especially in the California varieties, it just feels like a red, bell pepper shoved up my left nostril, the whole time. The Shirazes, it's full out attack on you, all just on your palate all the time, mate. When I think of even the way that Bordeaux's, it's just an attack of the senses. It's just an all-out assault. This is one of the few aspects of red reference grapes where it's approachable even in its varietal form. Mm-hmm. And there are elements where the tannin characteristics around Tempranillo can be softened much faster than many of these other reference grapes as well. And so even the ability of laying down a Tempranillo for 5 years, I think it's going to be at its peak even within such a short period of time, where trying to do something like that with these other red grapes, it may take 8, 10, 12 years to really being able to soften the tannins around them. So the grape itself is really good.
I think a good word is lush.
Yeah.
Balanced lush.
Well, we're getting very close here to announcing our top pick for Sips, Suds, and Smokes. And so I'll give away a little bit here, which is it is a 2009 vintage of Rioja that we're going to be talking about. The 2009 harvest itself was really good. But there weren't a tremendous number of stellar vineyards that really seized on the opportunity. In fact, 2004 was probably a better vintage, in the Rioja area than the 2009. Although there were a lot of really great, wines that were produced out of 2009. I don't think of it as a reference vintage. So I think this really says an awful lot about the vineyard itself and the quality of the winemaking, around this as well. And so, while we really could have picked a wine out of some of these other areas, it's like, why would you reward just simply doing something that Mother Nature's done 95% of the work, So, part of what we're doing here is acknowledging the quality of, the winemaker, behind this as well as just, the natural aspects of geography and weather around it as well. So our top pick for 2013 is going to be a Rioja from 2009 from a vineyard called Vina, Herminia, and it's their Excelsus is the grape that we're picking. Just really a phenomenal wine. And so we look forward to going through our tasting notes of this wine between Lisa and myself. So, Lisa, I know today was the first day you got to enjoy this, so why don't you share your tasting notes around this as well?
Well, I was really surprised. I didn't know what to expect. I love Riojas. I've tasted all different kinds. And what surprised me was just the pop, the flavor, and it just went deeper and deeper and deeper. And I think first of all, the intense, the nice blackberry, just the deep, rich. There was nothing juicy fruit. It wasn't like overpowering. It was just this nice, soft, supple, delicious blackberry spiced wine with all I could think about was my daughter and I eat little chocolate squares every once in a while. We get the big, the really good chocolate that's 70 or 75% cocoa, the bittersweet chocolate. And it reminded me of that. In the background, you could really taste that deep, rich mocha chocolate flavor, and it was just really nice. The tannins were delicate and very silky. I want this for my paella. This is fabulous. It would be a perfect paella pairing wine, or just hanging out.
Well, I think one of the things that I really enjoyed doing this today is I actually brought this wine for us to enjoy, and I really loved watching your reaction to this. And we've tasted a lot of wines together, and every time that I think that I can get one up on you or trump you, you're like, oh, I've had this before. It's just okay, And I was like, oh my gosh, she's going to taste this and go, it's just all right. It's just another Rioja. You were like, oh my God, this just is amazing. Yeah, this pops.
It is.
And so it was good to share this with you, as well as
thank you for sharing.
Some of your reaction around it. Even some of my own tasting notes from this, and I've had this wine probably I don't know, about 3 times this year. I had it at an industry tasting, early on this year back in May, and then I kept on encountering it, 2 and 3 times, through the rest of 2013. I think the thing that captures my attention is just how elegant this is, and that was a word that you used as well. I really find a lot of people describing this as luscious. I wrote down that there's a chocolate blend, that really comes across even when you're having this. I love the story about, you and your daughter sitting down, and I can't think of anything better that would go with this would be, chocolate dipped strawberries, with this wine. I think would just be absolutely, stunning, in terms of the fruit and the chocolate, to go with this. I think the one thing with this particular wine that has struck me every single time is the quality, but absolutely the value price point. I cannot get my wallet out fast enough to say I will take that all day long. This wine is under $20 a bottle on average here in the U.S. And I have probably had wines that are $200 and $300 a bottle, that I would stack this up against all day long. And it's just this wonderful example where, a lot of people think that price has something to do with quality. And I could not offer up a better example where they're just so wrong of using that mentality in purchasing wine and thinking that the stuff on the top shelf has got to be the good stuff. That may hold true with other things, distilled spirits or beers or, some other things. With wine, price is not always a reflection of quality. It is sometimes a reflection, most importantly, of demand and supply. If you don't have a lot of it, guess what? You can charge a premium for it all day long. And I think this is just a wonderful example where even the aspect of supply and demand has brought about some sense of sensibility in terms of the pricing for this. I could not talk this up enough for most people to seek this out. You should be able to find this wine in your local stores easily for much of 2014. I'm sure that many of our listeners will have the opportunity of being able to purchase this. For those of you that have the ability of purchasing wine and even having, purchasing it mail order and having it shipped to your home, there are plenty of places here in the U.S. where you should be able to do just that. How many cases are you ordering? Good old gal, Lisa.
Well, you're going to have to give me the supplier so I can. I wanted to say something to give our listeners something to think about, a visual. If I had to describe somebody in a very simple way to how this tastes, if you think of the juiciest, darkest, sweetest cherry that you've had in the summertime when the cherries come out, and that one blackberry that was better than any of the blackberries in that whole basket that you've gotten, and you look for another one to hope to find that way, with a dark chocolate. That is what this tastes like. It's amazing.
I know, and I loved actually just watching you talk about it. And, this really brings such an intensity and passion, to it. And that's, every now and then you just run across a wine that does this, that just, really just captivates everything you're thinking about it. This wine we're actually having has probably been open for about an hour now, and I would tell you it is just totally singing.
And the color.
I know.
I love this color.
So I really couldn't say enough great things about the Vina Herminia Rioja, the Excelsus from 2009. Just really a phenomenal wine, and not only worthy of our top rating, which is 5, but is absolutely going to have everybody hopefully running out and enjoying a bottle of this in 2014 to help you enjoy lots of great things. So Well, it's been a great discussion of a lot of great things in 2013, and I'm looking forward to a lot of great wine, coming up in 2014.
Can't wait.
I'm still on the hunt for the perfect white. I'll confess. I keep on eyeing, certain vintages, from Burgundy. Certainly a white Burgundy fan. I keep on saying, man, I'm just going to find, the perfect Chardonnay, from California that I'm really looking forward to. I have no idea, what I have in mind for 2014. I've had a lot of great wine. I mean, even just in the short period of time we've been here in 2014, I've just run across a lot of great wine, that's hitting the market. But I can't wait. I don't know about you.
I can't either. You just got me really interested in that now to find the perfect. Wow, what a great thing to think about. I think I will start searching those out too.
Well, most of all, I hope that we'll enjoy talking about them here on Sips, Suds, and Smokes.
Absolutely.
Sharing all of our reviews with our listeners throughout this year, and look forward to revisiting us next year as we have this conversation and hearing about what you thought were your top picks for 2014 as well. Well, I want to thank my co-host, good old gal Lisa, for joining me for this.
Cheers.
And I want to thank our listeners for joining us for all of the best of 2013 series. If you want to catch up with the rest of the 2013 best of series, we have other episodes available for our Suds episodes. This is one of our Sips. We'll have other episodes on our distilled spirit choices, as well as our smokes choices for 2013 as well. All here in the beginning of 2014, so be sure and catch all those episodes if you haven't already. You can catch all those episodes online on iTunes, on Spreaker, on iTunes, I said that twice in iTunes, Spreaker. TuneIn is another avenue that we get as well. If you'd like to catch any of our tasting notes throughout this year on all of our wines, you can catch us on Twitter at SipSudsSmokes. You can email us anytime at info@sipsudsandsmokes.com. I want to thank our listeners and my co-hosts for joining us. For right now, this is good old boy Mike saying keep on sipping.
Thank you for having me.
And join us again for another episode. Thanks. Bye now.
Bye.
This has been a One Tan Hand production of Sips, Suds, and Smokes, a program devoted to the appreciation of some of the finer slices of life. From the Dude in the Basement Studios, your hosts, the good old boys, will see y'all next time.